Hey boys and girls, welcome back to Writer's Workshop. So just like many of you at home, I haven't been able to read my stories to anyone. I've been reading to my stuffed animal, Riley, but the other day I actually got to read my story to someone. So when I was reading them this story, it was so great. I was reading it in my reader's voice and telling them how exciting this story is. And then I asked them if they would read the story for me. So I handed them my story, handed them the paper, and when they read it, oh my goodness, you guys, they sounded so boring. Let me show you what I mean. So when I first read the story, I read it like this. I let my puppy run around my living room. I went to get a glass of water, and when I got back, he was chewing on the lamp cord. I yelled, "No, no, no, Flurry," and grabbed him away from there as fast as I could. When I hugged him, my hands were trembling because the lamp almost fell on him. That's how I read it. That's how I imagined it in my head, and that's how I wrote it. It's such an exciting story. But you guys, when I handed it to my friend, do you want to know how they read it? Oh my goodness, let me show you. I was not happy. This is how they read my story. Are you ready? I let my puppy run around my living room. I went to get a glass of water, and when I got back, he was chewing on the lamp cord. I yelled, "No, no, no, Flurry," and grabbed him away from there as fast as I could. When I hugged him, my hands were trembling because the lamp almost fell on him. And you guys, I was so upset. I said, "Why were you so rude? Why did you read my story like that? I read my story with so much excitement, and you didn't read it like that. Why did you do that? It hurts my feelings." And you know what? My friend said, "I read it exactly how you wrote it. Look, you didn't use any punctuation or capital letters." I guess they were right. So boys and girls, today I want to teach you that writers use marks on the page to help their readers read the stories in ways that make them great stories. For example, writers use all sorts of marks. They use exclamation points, and that's that first one right up here. There you go. And exclamation points show important stops, and they show important stops that show a lot of emotion. Sometimes it can be that scary emotion, like when I was saying, "No, no, no, Flurry." I probably should have used an exclamation point for that one because I was using a lot of emotion. I was filled with fear, and so I was yelling. And they also could show excitement. Maybe if you're writing a story about a birthday party and how everyone's saying "Happy birthday" and shouted your name and you said "Thank you," so excited, you might show an exclamation point. That's an important stop that shows a lot of emotion, and it will tell your reader to use a lot of emotion when they're reading. And by emotion, friends, I mean feeling. So they also use periods at the end of a sentence. That's that little dot. And that is a way to have a calm stop at the end of when they're telling something. It's when you're just telling something. It doesn't mean there's a lot of emotion. You're just simply telling something, so you use a period to finish your sentence. And writers also use capital letters to start a sentence to show that they are starting a new part, a new sentence in the story. Thank goodness, writers, did you know that we can edit our writing? That means after we've written our story, it's not all done. We are allowed, we are encouraged to go back and reread our writing and edit it. By edit it, I mean you're allowed to go back and say, "Oh, I need to add some ending marks," or "I need to use a capital letter." You're allowed to do that. Because when we leave out capital letters and ending marks, it does make it really hard for our readers to read the story. And I realized my friend wasn't trying to hurt my feelings. They didn't do it on purpose. They actually read the story exactly how I wrote it. I forgot to add an ending marks, and I forgot to use capital letters. But you know what? What do we say? You're still cool, and you can go back and fix it. And when I read it, my story out loud, and realized, oh, it didn't have those ending marks, I realized, yeah, my story does sound pretty boring, but I know it's not a boring story. I know it's an exciting story. So I think I should go back and edit my story to add in those ending marks, to add those capital letters so that it is an exciting story and it can be read with excitement and emotion. So I used a checklist that you can use too. This right here has "end it with," and it shows a period. Remember when you're just telling something, a calm stop, an exclamation point, when you're using a lot of emotion to tell something and need to stop the sentence, or a question mark when you're asking something. So it says, I ended sentences with punctuation. Not yet, starting to, or yes. I wrote not yet. I checked that box. I didn't do it yet, but that's okay. It's not yet, meaning I'll be able to soon. And I used a capital letter for names. I didn't. I put Flurry's name, my dog's name, with a lowercase f, and it should have been a capital F, so I checked not yet. But I'm going to go back and fix that, so then I'll be able to say, yes, I am. So friends, after I heard that feedback from my friend and realized I need to add those ending marks. I need to add punctuation and capital letters so that my story can be read with excitement and be read with the enthusiasm that I wrote it with. I made some edits. So I had already written my story. And when my friend said, you left those things out, I didn't throw a tantrum and I didn't cry and say, oh, I can't go back and fix it. I said, oh, you know what? I'm still cool. I'm going to go back and edit. That means I'm going to reread it. I'm going to add in my ending marks and I'm going to add those capital letters. And look, I want to show you what I did. Now, it does have it. So let's read it together. I let my puppy run around my living room and I went to get a glass of water. When I got back, he was chewing on the lamp cord. I yelled, no, 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 Flurry. I grabbed him away there as fast as I could. Then I hugged him with my hands. They were trembling because the lamp almost fell on him. When I went back to reread my story, I noticed I needed to add capital letters and ending marks. So, these friends also went back and reread their stories and erased or crossed it out and added those capital letters. They ended those ending marks. So I'm going to read you their story and I want you to see I've circled where they used capital letters and ending marks. One day I went to the beach and I was really happy. I went with my mom and dad and I said, yay! I saw a boy running. The boy smashed my castle and I was sad. And my dad helped. I said to my dad, you are the best. My dad was happy and I was happy. So you see how my friend Rashawn used capital letters and ending marks to add to his writing. And even though he wasn't here to show us how to read his story, we were able to know how to read it because he had those capital letters, he had ending marks. Capital letters and ending marks, it's a way to give your readers directions on how to read your story. So it's important, friends, to use checklists and use a checklist like this that reminds us to use our ending marks and to use capital letters for people's names and for the beginning of a new sentence. So writers, now it's your turn. I want you to remember that you can go back and look at a story that you've already written, and you can use capital letters at the beginning of your sentences, you can add punctuation as you write, and you can reread and go back to edit your story to make sure you used capital letters and ending marks. All right, writers go write.